Hi, Counting 401. I'm your host, Shanika Torres. And I have a co-host, Mr. Saint Luis Miguel. And we are going to be discussing how to address self-identification and self-esteem issues for mixed kids. So for whatever reason, anytime people think of mixed, they automatically default to black and white, like that's the only mixed people that are in this world. But honestly, of all the different mixed groups, this is the one that seems to be the most controversial. So for the sake of time, we're going to focus on mixed identification and self-esteem as it pertains to individuals mixed with black and other races. And I say black and other races because it just takes it's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Anytime you're mixed with black in the United States, I just want to clarify, in the United States, the way our society has been set up to accept we have been set up to accept the belief that any person who is mixed with black is automatically black by default. Doesn't matter what percentage. For the most part, in some states they get really technical. It has to be like 1/18th of a great 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 dimension great grandparent has to be black and no one else, in order for you to be able to label yourself as white. It's baloney, I know, but stick with me, folks. I don't make these things up. I'm just giving you the information. So in the 1980s, it was assumed that biracial individuals should just assume the race of the black parent because everything was based upon the one drop rule. Well, now society has become a little more progressive, and people are starting to challenge that a little bit. So, what should you tell your kid if they come home and they're asking, "What am I?" Well, first, you don't want to ignore it. The misconception is that if we don't talk about it, then it doesn't exist. While it may not exist in your household, when they leave that household, best believe everybody else is talking about it and they want to know how to label your child. So you want to give them a good defense mechanism. So if somebody asks them, "Oh, what are you?" they can feel comfortable saying fill in the blank. So what happens is, I have the little markers because there's just a whole lot of information. It's just easier for me to track that way. So one, you want to acknowledge and identify the racial differences of the parents. You want to acknowledge the uniqueness of how each parent is. For example, my husband is of Puerto Rican descent. Beautiful, lovely culture. I have a family background. We call it multi-generational mix. So lots of mixed generations. Although I still identify as a black woman, I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I'm a black woman. I don't negate that. But culturally, I mean, I have Spanish, I have French, I have Native American documented with cards and everything. And so when I had children, all of my children looked different. I would walk into the store and I just knew they were talking about Shanika. I just knew they were like, "Ooh, she had a good time." She couldn't make up what she wanted or who she wanted. But the reality of the situation, all my kids are with my husband. Not that it's anybody's business, but I can just tell by the looks, and I get it because none of my kids look alike. And so understanding and acknowledging that parents come from a different background, that's what you want to start with, because it takes away the negative notion that differences can't be positive. Two, you want to acknowledge that your children now have a unique racial, ethnic, or identification or heritage that's different from both their parents. So you have somebody that's my husband that's Puerto Rican. You have somebody that's myself that's African American, mixed, nonetheless, but that's of black descent. And you have my children who now have this mixed cultural background that's even more diverse than even my generation. And so making them understand that that's something positive lets them know, like, hey, you know what? It's okay to be different. Three, you want to give them an opportunity to develop relationships with other individuals from various backgrounds. If at all possible, let them attend integrated schools. Let them attend schools where there's just a lot of diversity, because what happens is it allows them to start accepting who they are more when they see that there are various people that look different from them, or look different as well as similar to them. Four, expose kids to books, to pictures, to dolls, to toys, of all different races and cultures, because what you're doing is letting them know that there's not one particular group that we praise more than the other. We're accepting and loving of everybody. Four, I already said four. I'm going to say five. Having a child choose a side can be difficult. I think this is one of the most detrimental things that parents can do to their children by placing a label on them. Oh, well, your daddy's black, so you black. Last time I checked, it took two parents to make the individual. So while it sounds good in theory, and if that's what works for you and your family, then hey, hallelujah to you. But honestly, it's better to allow your child to formulate their own self-identification instead of having labels forced upon them. If they come to a point during their adolescent years and say, you know what, I'm black, then that's fine. That's great. They have come to that decision and they can own it. But just simply knowing that they have two parents of two different ethnicities and they're told their whole life, you're black, you're black, you're black, you're black, and there's something within them that's not really meshing with that, then it throws them off and it actually leads to a life of unhappiness. It's actually studies have shown that individuals that are biracial, who grew up in very true biracial, with a very true biracial identity, meaning they accept parent A and parent B as equal and they identify with both of them, not separate, not embracing one over the other, that these individuals are actually happier than a biracial individual who actually grows up to identify with one culture alone. So in regards to how to help or address topics of issues of race and ethnicity for your children, one, make sure that you discuss how each parent's culture, whether that's the music, whether that's the language, whether it's the form of dance, embrace those differences and say, yeah, your dad is this, or yeah, I'm that. But guess what? We came together and we made you, and that's the thing that matters the most. And then two, you acknowledge that your children now have this very unique ethnicity that makes them who they are, and there's nothing negative about that. Praise them for their individuality. Three, give them opportunities to develop relationships with others from various backgrounds. If possible, integrate them in different schools, take them to diverse cities, just so that they have an understanding that there are other mixed race cultures like them. Four, expose them to books, pictures, dolls, hi Poppy, and different things from representatives from all races and ethnicities. Five, don't, ooh, Papa, you have gas. Don't force your child to choose a side. I just want to really stress this. Even if society says, hey, you're this, that, or the other, really reinforce to them that it's okay for them to come to terms with who they are without having labels forced upon them. And also prepare them for any backlash that they may sustain. That even if, let's say, they have a black parent and a white parent, and one of the parents says, embrace who you are, and the kid who may be viewed as black by others says, no, I'm white. Just prepare them for the backlash that may happen, because unfortunately, not everybody is so open to the notion yet. And then six, just allow them to really embrace both their cultures, and don't make them feel as if there's something shameful because they're not choosing one over the other. Let them know that it is okay to identify with who they are. And by you setting the example and by you being open, then they can feel comfortable being who they are. And essentially, that's our role as parents. Have any questions, feel free to ask them, comment below, or any other counseling questions. I'm your girl. Remember, real questions, real answers. Let's get real.